Hi everyone, Jeremy here from Davinci Studio, and today I'm excited to introduce you to our brand new Infographic Pack 3.0, the ultimate toolkit to showcase data in your video. With 70 plus unique assets, this pack makes it incredibly easy to display statistics, trends, and insight directly on screen. From bar chart and pie graph to timeline and percentage counter, every asset is designed to save you time and elevate the clarity of your message. Plus, everything is fully customizable, so you can adapt it to match your style and project need. In this video, we're going to cover a lot of ground because we're going to go through a bunch of different assets so I can show you each of their functionality and how you can get the most out of it to get the better result for your videos. So if you're ready, let's check it out. Alright, so you can get the Infographic Pack 3.0 on our website. Once you get the pack, you can get this zip file, just double click on it to unzip it. And in the folder, you'll find a couple of things. You get the license, the installation instruction, the TRFX file, and the font. Please make sure to install all the font, otherwise the title will not work because Davinci will not know what font to use. To install the font, simply select all of them and double click on them to start the installation process. Then you can select the TRFX file and double click on it. It will prompt open this window and select install. Once in Davinci Resolve, you can go over to Effect, Titles, then Video to Studio, and you can scroll all the way down until you find the Infographic Pack 3.0. Let me expand this so you can see everything that is available in this pack. I'm gonna expand here that drop down, and here, as you can see, first we have two sections. We have composition and elements. Composition are a bunch of pre-made composition that are a lot more complex and that have a lot of different moving components in them. And elements basically allow you to create your own infographic composition using more simple elements, so you can combine and layer them one by one. In the element section, you have three subsections, which are pointers, text, and visualizer. Generally, the visualizer is the base for the infographic. Then you can just add some text to bring some clarity, and then adjust some final touch with some pointer to repoint that specific thing on your graph or images, etc. Same thing here for the composition. We have a bunch of different sections. First, we have some bar charts, then we have some circle charts, and then graph, map, and miscellaneous. As you can see, that's a lot of assets, so I will not have the time today to go through each individual one of them, but I'm gonna share with you the core principle that just tie all of them together and how you can use them. First, let's start with the graph section. Everything is fully customizable, meaning that here, for example, we have 12 bar, but we can do 3, 4, 5 bar. Same thing here for the grid. We can adjust them exactly as we want. But for convenience, for example, there is a few that have a default amount of value. For example, here, 5 to 7 or 4 to 12 to just give you a bunch of diversity. Here, for example, we're going to take the 5 to 7, and then we're going to take a 7 layout bar and drag that right above it. As mentioned, you can easily toggle between different bars. So here you can select 6, 5, 4, 3, so on and so forth. And you can do the exact same thing here with the data count. So you can just reduce here to 3, and there will be only 3 value being displayed. Then you can adjust the overall spacing to just make sure that it's covering up the entire graph. And we're gonna just take the exact same value here and paste it here to just match the value we have available on our graph. And here we go. Now we have 3 value being displayed. We can easily then adjust the scale of our bar. Here, I can just move them around to really showcase the amount that I want. And it's the same thing here. We can go back to the graph, and with the vertical indicator, we can remove or add any value we want. And then we can adjust the line spacing between them to just either reduce or increase the space. Now, if you want to add more clarity in between those comparisons, you can go and take the legend, drag that right above it. And then here, same thing, you can select the data count, just change the color for what is represented here. So here you can just take that toggle, take that eyedropper, and then here select the color. And you do that for the second data as well. You can then adjust your text and change the data you want right here. Then the position, if you wish to have it right there aligned with your graph. And if you wish to pinpoint a specific value, you can use that callout drag it here to your timeline, and then bring it right above everything else. And now we can just use that to emphasize something specific right here. If you want some more in-depth explanation about how to adjust the grid and the bar and all that, I have another full video that goes through each detail and where you can experiment with the free sample that we're giving. We're giving that 12 bar title along with one of the line layout. And I'm covering everything you need to know in that specific video. But for now, here we go. That's pretty much our composition. That's what we've created. Now, if you want to add some offset between each of the animation, you can do that by dragging your title just like a bit further, for example, for that collage to appear once everything else has happened. You can also adjust the timing of your animation if you want an animation in or out, the type of animation depending on the title. So here you can choose between zoom in, zoom out, pan left, pan right, slide up, slide down, fade in. So there is really a lot of flexibility. For example, here with the legend, you also have the vertical or horizontal style. So here we can just toggle vertical and now everything will be displayed vertically rather than horizontally. So most titles will share common functionalities, you know, like the usual animation length, the animation style, etc. But sometimes their individualities will be displayed right here. For example, here that style selector or the data count depending on the title. But they will generally all work in a very similar way. Right now, as you can see, when I'm playing it, I'm dropping a few frames. It's because there is so much stuff happening. Obviously, we got a bunch of bar, we got a bunch of different stuff that has been exported, and Davinci has to process that. So you can always go here to playback, burn the cache, and then here select smart instead of none, and that's gonna bring that bar that's gonna turn from red to blue. And when it's fully blue, that means that the titles have been fully cached in and you will get a real-time playback. Already right now, I think we're getting a pretty decent playback considering, you know, everything that is happening on screen. But right now, when everything has been cached in blue, as you can see, we're getting a real-time playback and it's very smooth. Now let's quickly move over to the map section. So here it's been organized in the same way as the graph. In terms of layer, we have 1 to 3 layer, and we can just drag here, for example, the world map as the base layer, and then we can go over and take the world map countries as a second layer. And basically this is allowing us to toggle between a different country. So this map is our base, and then we can switch between any country we want right here with that drop down. And now the third layer, if we want to add any other information, for example, here we can add a legend as well, or we can add some title for the population or for the location, and you can adjust each of those layers independently. So here we're gonna just adjust the size and position and drag that above our country. So that's the best way we find out to give a lot of flexibility into how you use the title and give you a lot of option into the timing of the animation, the layout that you can create, and getting a decent playback speed by not having everything built in one single title. Using that layering style make things a lot easier. So right now, if we try to make a quick composition with those elements, as you can see right now, the world map doesn't have any animation. So if we want to have an animation, we can do a simple fade in by dragging here that bar, and it will just create a fade in animation. Here we go. There is a bunch of stylistic change that we can make here directly for the world map. By default, we have a background, but if you don't want to have a background, you can just reduce here the opacity to 0, and you will see the footage that is behind, and it will give you a black screen. You can also change the color of that background. So here, if we want to have something green and red, etc., we can do that very easily. We can also add some glow or some shadow. So here, if you want everything to pop a little bit more, you can increase the shadow strength, and that will help the world map being separated from the background. Then if we want to bring a specific country slightly later, we can just move that forward a little bit, and the same thing here, drag that to create a fade in animation. Now we can select the country that we want. So here I'm gonna go back to the United States, and I'm gonna select that. We can also duplicate the title and bring another country. So here I'm just gonna drag everything above, and we're gonna take that world map country, hold Option on our keyboard, drag that above, and then here we can select, for example, Japan. We can make the same stylistic modification as before with the color, with the background, etc. Here, if we want to change the color, we can do that directly. We can also increase the glow for this one to make it pop a little bit more. So I'm going to increase the threshold a little bit and increase the gain. We can do the exact same thing here for Japan and increasing the threshold and the gain a little bit, so it's popping a bit more. Now for our legend, we're going to bring it at the same time as the map. If we have only two values that we want to display, we can just select here the data count, and here with the background, we can reduce the overall height and then adjust the position, bring the overall composition down. So here I'm going to bring it a bit more down to the lower third, and I'm going to change the indicating color. So here I'm going to just pick the color for the US, and then I'm going to do the same thing right here for Japan. And then simply changing the text. So here USA, and then here Japan. And then finally here we can use any of the pointer to just indicate a city or any specific value. So here, for example, I'm going to reduce that sign, Dallas, Texas, and then we can place that properly on the map. So that will be a quick way to use most of the asset here in the map section. We've also included the US, so here you can do the same thing by including the US base map layer, and then here we can bring the second layer and switch in between different states. We've decided to include that map tool section because we think it was really helpful for displaying infographic and data about population, etc. But obviously, if you want to have more detailed option, we have a full map pack available on our website, which gives you access to every country and every region in the world. So similar to what's going on right here with the US, we have that for, France, Italy, Australia, Zimbabwe, like any country that you can think of. Now that we've covered the map, let's move on to miscellaneous. So here in the miscellaneous section, you have a bunch of compositions that are fully pre-made. Let's start, for example, here with that icon comparison. I'm gonna drag that in, and this title, as you can see, share most of the usual functionality. Here we have the animation length in second. So if I play that, it's gonna take about 2 seconds to complete the animation. And if we replace the 2 seconds with 1 second, as you can see, the animation is gonna be twice as fast. We can also choose between the different type of animation right here, and same for the animation out. Some titles might not have the option to have no animation in because of the way they've been structured. They will have it for the animation out, but maybe not the animation in. If you wish to do that, what you can do is simply go where the animation is finished, then create a compound clip, and then you can simply make a cut. And now you will have no animation in and your animation out. You have all the usual customizable element right there with the size and position, with the icon, and with the data text where you can replace here the percentage and the paragraph. But as mentioned earlier, generally when there is some specific functionality to a title, that will be visible directly right here. And in this case, you can change the icon here in the middle. By default, we have the custom icon, which gives you the possibility to basically upload any icon you want. Right here with that browser, you can just upload any logo, any PNG file that you want right here. By default, we've put a placeholder as a globe, but if you don't want to use that or to go through the process of uploading your own icon, we've pre-built 40 different icons that you can use easily right here. So you can just toggle in between everything you want directly from that drop down. And again, if you don't find what you want right here, you can always upload directly your custom icon. Now we can adjust the icon scale here to represent a bit what has been displayed. So for example, if we want to display 50/50, you can just bring that in the middle, and then here in the data text, we can switch those values to represent 50/50. You also have a similar one that I really like, which is that icon fill comparison, where this time basically you have two icons being displayed, and same, you can choose between opposite icon. If there is not what you're looking for, you can always upload your own custom icon in the same exact way, where you just select your custom icon, just go right to the drop down here, icon 1, custom icon, and then here you can just upload the PNG file that you want. But we've tried to include a few that were pretty useful. For example, here, city versus rural, with like a house versus like apartment. Sometimes the logo might be, slightly bigger or slightly smaller, so you can easily make some adjustment right here by just increasing or decreasing the size. So here I'm just going to increase slightly the size of that building, and then we're just going to bring it slightly to the side. And now we have them matching properly. Some other useful one that you can have is here, for example, timeline. So you can bring that timeline right there, and it will give you the possibility to have up to 7 tasks or 7 things in a calendar. So here you can just select 5, for example, and it will only display 5, so on and so forth. It's pretty straightforward and simple to use. You can then change here that top text. You can also change here the overall timeline line thickness if you want to have it a bit thinner. You can also do the same thing here for the point on the timeline. And then you can easily change here the time, and you can change also the data being displayed. So here you can just add whatever text you want, and the box will automatically adapt to that. And you can easily make some changes if you want to have it with straight angle, or if you want to have it with a round angle. Everything will be automatically adapted for each of those text boxes. And that's pretty much it for this section. I'll let you browse through the different titles available in it, but they share very similar functionalities and a way to be modified, though it's just you to play around with it and find what suits your project best, depending on what you try to represent and the data that you need to display on screen. All right, now for the bar chart, you have 10 different bar charts that you can choose from. You have 5 being horizontal, and you have 5 being vertical. So they all share pretty much the same functionality. It's very similar to the one that I've displayed earlier. Basically, you can choose between a different amount of bar, and then you can easily space them in between each other, or you can reposition them. You can adjust the top text, you can adjust the bar length. So here you have those scale slider that allow you to just show a certain length. And then here you have each of the individual data that you can change. Sometimes they will be in only one text box, sometimes they'll be split in between a different text box. So here, for example, I can switch that to Tokyo, for example, and then here I can change the value to, for example, 37 million. We didn't want to limit it to basically a simple 0 to 100 counter. We wanted to give you full control over the kind of text that you want to display here. Therefore, the data will not be, completely exact, but you can just fine-tune that to make it match between your different data subset, so it's representing in an equal way the difference between 37 million and 25 million, etc. The goal is mostly to represent the disparity between data than being exactly accurate. If you want to be exactly accurate, I will recommend to use the graph instead. So you'll be able to find different kind of bar for representing different kind of data. For example, you'll find some counters, some single bars, some bars that have 2 data, so you can compare both data, for example. And then finally, in the composition section, we get the circle chart, which basically represent different kind of circle type of infographic. So again, you have the same principle as before with the data count, where you can choose between different data count, and I will just eliminate all the other one. And again, on all those titles, you have a lot of different things that you can switch. For example, here you can upload your own icon. We have the different circle that you can adjust in terms of length, and you can adjust the color of each one of them and make your adjustment to the data. So here you can choose between 7 different circle chart that will all serve a different purpose. And now finally, to close up this video, I'm gonna talk about the element section, which contain a bunch of different elements that you can combine together to create your own infographic. So for example, you can use that dot chart right here as a base, and then you can use, for example, a title to go right below or right above. So here, let's say you want to have a bunch more text. You can take that paragraph, we're gonna reduce the size for it, and we're just gonna place it below. That way we can put some explanation about the data that we're representing, and then we could take here the paragraph, add the paragraph right above it. We can reduce the size and the placement. So here I'm just gonna put it right above, and I'm gonna reduce the size a little bit. Then you can change your text right here to represent whatever you want to represent, and you can use pointers to just point at some specific data. For example, here you could use a callout and just drag that callout on a specific point. Again, some of those visualizer might have a few specific functionality, like for example, this dot chart, you can also add your own icon. So you can upload here your icon with that browse button right here to represent any data you want. Otherwise, just using the shape, and you can shape this differently. Right now we have a circle, but you can choose to have a square, and you can adjust the vertical and the horizontal count right here. So here, as you can see, that's a 10 by 12 grid. So if you want to have here, for example, half of it, you can select 5, and I will select half of the grid. And then if you want to have a quarter represented, you can just divide that by 2 again, and then here switching to 6. And now that will represent a quarter of that entire grid representation. Another example here, I could bring that icon fill, and then we switch the icon to whatever we want. For example, here, coin. We can then easily displace it to the side, which leaves us a bit more space to then bring a simple counter and add that right above it. We're gonna then increase the size of that counter. We're gonna then just displace that to the side. And if we want to add more text, we can easily just add a paragraph to bring more explanation. So here I could just select again my paragraph. In text here, adjust the alignment anchor to the left, and we can displace that to align it with our counter. I'm just gonna make some space to make it fit. And we've now created very quickly our own composition. So again, I'll let you mix and match and just create whatever you want. You can also use some of them to enhance already existing composition. Here, for example, you could use like a highlight to highlight something on a graph, or you could use a call out to just bring attention to a specific part of the composition. It's really up to you and what you want to display. And that's pretty much it. This video was pretty long and it covered a lot of things. I hope that helped you understand how the pack works and how to get the most out of it. The pack is available right now on our website, and if you want to test a graph out, we have a free sample available that you can experiment with. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.
Speed up your workflow and create better videos using the pack available on our website, including titles, transition, and templates built only for Davinci Resolve. Get started today by downloading our free starter pack that contains over 150 elements. Link in the description below or at videoeditorstudio.com.